Hailing from outer space, critiquing the human race. A show that covers every base, with reviews coming at your face.
So take a seat, put up your feet, listen to the beat, take a peek, you're in for a treat, cause this is Beat Freaks.
We stay strange at all times, breaking down these fresh rhymes.
A good convo I want to climb, so just hit play and watch it shine.
Coming hard like comets, join the convo, leave a comment.
Reviews like this ain't common, this is our room, come on in. Beat Freaks.
And now for something completely different.
Picture this like the pictures I hang up. Got G's that be pitching, telling me to change up. I was a snotty-nosed kid in my pop's rental. Used to sell candy and had no dental. Then I was 14 and I made a demo. BMX was the label, learned to indie hustle. I was the only dude rapping at that time. Times changed, cause now my grandmother rhymes. Sun don't come, just embrace the rain. That's the only way that things gon' change. When the sun don't come, just embrace the rain. Leave my songs hanging like my picture.
Hello Earthlings, welcome to Beat Freaks. It's a brand new series we're coming out with called The Hall of Flame. We're out here talking to creative people in the community, seeing the projects that they think have stood up over time and have influenced them in their art. So we are here for the first episode with Stanford rapper Jahan Nostra.
What's up, guys? What's going on? What's going on? Beat Freaks in the building.
Yes,
Beat
sir.
Freaks.
Beat Freaks.
100.
So yeah, we're gonna ask him a couple questions, learn about his music, learn what he wants to induct into the Hall of Flame, and it's gonna be a good time.
No doubt.
All right, Jahan. Now, we've talked to you before. This video is actually on our channel. We did a thing on you for in community college back in the day.
Nice, yes,
and
sir.
So there you were in the process of developing your album ESP, which
Yes,
is
sir.
the most recent album to come out.
Uh-huh.
So tell our listeners why that's your favorite album that you've done so far.
It's my favorite album that I've done so far because usually the most current to me is my favorite because it represents the time and place that I am right now. I'm not for living in the past, and I'm not for living in the future too much. It's also my favorite album because collaboration-wise, there's a lot of collaboration on it, and I'm talking, star-studded artists like Smith & Wesson, people like Tone Trump, people I grew up off of listening to, and then other independent artists that I like, and they came together with me for that album, and they're my songs, but they're basically songs that have collaboration and great artistry with more than just myself as an artist. So it brings a dynamic that I haven't seen before with my other albums.
Totally. So besides the features, I know when we talked to you formally that you had thought were describing how your process for the creation of the album was also different. You want to talk about that?
Sure. That's a really, really great question. I like to highlight that. The reason I call the album ESP is because extrasensory perception is like doing things on the fly. I always tell people when LeBron James makes a no-look pass to Kyrie Irving, but now he'll be making a no-look pass to Isaiah Thomas, he basically has extrasensory perception because he makes that pass, kind of out of nowhere. He's not even looking, he basically feels him. He knows he's there, and it's instinct. And having ESP is like having a sixth sense. And that's how I did the album. I wasn't strategic. I think music is best like that too, being organic. I wasn't strategic like, I'm going to do this album ESP. ESP is where I'm from. And basically I went inside myself and did a lot of spontaneous, really organic, creative process, which brings it to the point where each song was done from a perspective of, well, I'm not going to just prepare this. I'm going to listen to this music. I'm going to feel this. And some of the stuff I'm not even writing. I'm just going to basically come right from the heart with it and execute it as best I can. And my craft and my experience has got me to the level where I can do that quite well now after doing this over 14 years.
All right. So now you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
So 14
Right.
years. Now, in that time, I'm sure you've built up a lot of inspirations just on your own, like as yourself as a whole, not just for this album. So, what are some artists that inspire you?
Man, so many. Stevie Wonder, Tupac Shakur, one of my favorite artists. Tribe Called Quest, who are very relevant right now to a lot of new people. New artists like Vic Mensa, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole. I dig. I've been listening to a lot of my inspirations lately. I really dig a guy named Robert Johnson. He's a blues player. Miles Davis. Jazz as a whole inspires me. I love jazz more than hip hop, really. In some ways, people are gonna kill me for that. But I love jazz. I'm a big jazz guy. Nora Jones.
Rightfully so. Jazz
You know
is
what I
amazing.
mean? Yeah, to name some beautiful women that really inspire me musically, and I'm talking about their music, is Nora Jones, Sade. It's so many. It's so many. I like SZA. I'm really feeling Solange. Solange is a great artist, especially right now. And these are just people like right now. I mentioned Stevie, who's a classic. Tupac is a classic. But a lot of people I'm mentioning are currently who's inspired me currently, because I'm in the process of a new album again.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always great to take inspiration from the people around you. You know, I feel like just building off of energy is the best way to get organic material.
Mm-hmm.
So, is your process with this album similar to what you were doing with ESP, or are you doing anything different with these new artists that you're being inspired by?
It's always going to be different. It'll be a lot different because ESP was semi-autobiographical. This album, I'm kind of going to give the people what they want, man. This album, if there was a word to describe it, it would be fun. Me and my partner, Symphony, we got together and we're doing everything new. Like, it's still me, but everything is like a new sound and a fun, energetic sound. We're going to a studio in Queens, and he's been feeding me track after track after track, and I've just been vibing with the tracks. And what I'm noticing that's different from ESP is new, but it has a traditional element to it. I think this new album is going to be very, very current, but very, very Jahan Nostra, meaning that, you know, right now I've done a lot of fun things after ESP. I've done a lot of shows, you know, I've been out to Montreal for minor, tours and different things like that. So I'm basically like, you know, capitalizing off of that fun and putting it into music and making it really digestible to the public. And one of my partners has heard some things and he was like, Dad, you're finally giving the people what they want. That's his words. So, and I'm not doing it because I feel like I have to do it. I'm doing it because I really feel it. Everything I do is organic, and I'm really feeling that way. So I think this will be one of my better albums to date, because I think a lot of young, vibrant people, a lot of people gonna feel this record, because I've really been having a lot of fun the last year and a half.
Now let's take some people who are watching this right now who may not have heard of you, and they're missing out, by the way. You know, they should listen to your music. Check out ESP, Sleepwalking album, whatever.
Sleepwalking, Bedtime Street
okay,
album.
all those things. And now let's say they want to check out this new album you're talking about, which I'm sure you're probably in early processes. I'm sure you have a while to go still.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say they take some artists that they might know of that they've listened to. Maybe they listen to only Hot 97, for example, stuff like that. So who are some artists that you think your music compares to, and that who if they like, they'll like your music?
Let's see. Well, the people would say, you know, me, I don't always get caught in it. I'd say the people would say, like, probably somebody like Kendrick. There's also parts of it where people would also make me or compare me to, maybe Vic, maybe the old T.I. with a little new, innovative J. Cole swag. It's interesting because I'm an artist that's in my own vein. I always have lyrics, but the thing about it is I'm songwriting first. I'm a song maker before I'm anything. That's what makes me different from a lot of people, even in my generation. I think that I'm kind of at odds. It's funny because, you know, I don't know where I fit. I'm at odds with a lot of people in my generation when it comes to certain things like lyrics. I am about lyrics, but I'm not all about lyrics. I'm about the song first. So if I get an idea for a song, I'm thinking about the chorus. I'm thinking about an additional person on it to join me. I'm thinking about how the beat pops and the sound, because I semi-produce most of my tracks too. And I'm getting an idea of, okay, well, how can I make this song resonate with you guys, you know, with Beat Freaks, with the international crowd, with everything else. I like what Drake is doing, man. A lot of people hate on Drake, man. I think the combination of him and 40, you know, even if you're not a Drake fan, you see, because I understand music, when I look at the combination of him and his partner 40, who's his producer, their energy is just amazing because he understands who Drake is. So he takes his sound and he complements his sound to the degree that, you know, people can digest him, you know, and you know who he is. So it's like if your best friend who you grew up with, you know, like my boy Cairo and me, knows you like the back of a hand, he's gonna tell you, yo, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that, and you might not even know it, but he's able to bring that out of you like only he could. And when you have that as a producer, I think that's one of the best things in the world, because I think a lot of people don't understand how to bring that out. And I ventured off on the question, but some of those new artists that I mentioned, I would be compared to them, but it's really going to be also a new sound. There's going to be a little bit of trap drums in there. There's going to be a little bit of hip hop, and there's going to be a little bit of storytelling. But overall, there's going to be great songs, because that's what I'm always aiming to do. Create great songs.
Absolutely. The song always comes first. Music has to be about an emotion and how it makes you feel. And, you know, it's a combination of elements, and that's always important to keep in mind. So I'm sure that keeping that in mind, that combination of elements, is probably something that you consider when thinking about what album you would induct into the Hall of Fame. So do you want to talk about your album and why you think it stands up over time?
Sure. The album I would like to induct into the Hall of Flames, I love that name, by the way, fellas, is,
thanks, Steve.
Shout out to Steve, is, it was tough for me, because I'm like, I was going to put a group, I was going to say something from one of my favorite groups, Tribe, but they'll always be there for me no matter what. So I'm going to go with Me Against the World by Tupac Shakur. That album, to me, the reason I picked that album is, you want to talk about inspiration, you want to talk about different things, and this is just for me, you know what I'm saying? The reason I say that is because, like, when I heard him rap, I always heard rap like a long time before Tupac even came out. You know, I was listening to rap since I was like 9 years old. And, though I listened to the Beatles first and a bunch of other stuff, you know, rap was always my thing and where I grew up. But when I heard Tupac, it was like, okay, you can rhyme like this? Okay, now I know I have a place, you know? When you hear something and you're like, you know, I heard a lot of rap, but when I heard Tupac, I was like, okay, now I want to rhyme. Like, now I feel like now I can have it. And he was blazing a trail. He was very unique. In the sense of this, he was the first one who really talked about, like, from an autobiographical standpoint. Tupac didn't care about lyrics. He wasn't all about lyrics. It's funny because the 90s was all about lyrics, and early 2000s and stuff. Yeah, bars. But even today, you still hear people talking about bars. Mm-hmm. But then that's why you have the emergence of mumble rap, whatever they call it now, whereas people still can rock with it. Because it's not about bars. It's about melody and about music, too. You know, Bone Thugs and Harmony, I always love. They're the beginning of what you want to call mumble rap. You know what I mean? If you listen to Young Thug or anybody else. So my point of saying that is, it's not all about bars. It's about a story. Tupac was autobiographical. He was putting his life on paper. So when I heard this guy, I was like, he's more like a poetry, but to this beat, to where he was rapping, his flow was so dope that he still sounded as lyrical as the lyrical cats, like, you know, Redman or, you know, anybody else, who all of them I love too. But he was able to talk about his life within those contexts and make stories and a narrative, which made for better songs. So Me Against the World has songs like Dear Mama, Old School, my favorite song from Tupac, which is called So Many Tears. He has a song called If I Die Tonight, which basically talks about when he was shot. Because after this album, he shot people. You know, Tupac was shot more than once. He was shot once before. He was shot the second time. And when he was shot in New York, Me Against the World came out after. That came out like right after that. So he once again was talking about things that were real. Like he was talking about being, you know, shot in Quad Studios 5 times. He was talking about, you know, life in the world with political songs like Me Against the World, where he talked about, at the time he was talking about politics. He was just very broad, and he was talking about subjects that nobody was talking about, especially in the 90s. And the reason he was because he was so ballsy, I realized, that he was able to talk about, you know, things that he didn't care what nobody thought. He was just dropping his narrative, and to me that makes him one of the greatest ever. I think when you're out there doing that, that's when you put yourself in a position to win. And the reason Tupac gets that nod for Me Against the World is because that album to me is his best album. Not All Eyes on Me, not the rest of the things people talk about. I think it's Me Against the World.
Well, there you have it. Jahan put Tupac into our Hall of Fame. First ever induction.
No doubt, man.
Yep. Jahan, we thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys, appreciate it. Y'all keep it up. Beat Freaks all day, every day, baby.
Beat
These
Freaks.
guys is on it, man.
Check them out.
Word up.
Yeah, check all the stuff out in the description down below.
Leave a comment. Let us know what you think.
That's right.
Peace, y'all.
Beat Freaks.
East Sunrise, I'm a born legend. Suckers keep asking the same form question. Is he real? Why that nigga flexing? Why I see him in them seats and them private sections? Why I lie, nigga? Hard work pays. I met Michael Jordan, I'm about them deuce trays. Just a boy in the hood way before Trey. Worked in finance way before Ken Lay. Saturday nights live with no Tina Fey. Oh, them negative vibes you could keep away. What you say? What you say? Couldn't hear you, was on my flight to the A.